Welcome to the Fifth Quarter Sportscast. I'm Jared Judy, and I'm here as usual with my buddy Todd Corley. How we doing?
Good. We're good. I think things are doing better.
That's
The rash cleared up.
well, that's good to hear. That's improvement. You're in the right direction.
Are we
live? Sure. We'll say yes. Does it matter? Does it really matter? All right. Well, we just finished up week 8 of the NFL season here. We got some polls. We got some games to break down. We got some trades at the trade deadline just officially closed. We got some action on that. Not a whole lot. We got the coaching carousel already in full swing. So we got plenty of things to break down. But we'll take a look at the poll here. Jump off. We got there's a lot of bad football in week 8. Just a lot of disgusting games. Which made you rather go trick-or-treating instead of watching a game? In the spirit of Halloween, we had Giants, Jets, Panthers, Texans, Broncos, Chiefs, Lions, Raiders. Jets, Giants, Panthers, Texans, both 25%. Broncos, Chiefs, 50%. Honestly, they all kind of sucked. I was expecting a monster thrashing by the Lions, given how bad the Raiders are, but for some reason the Raiders seem to just do enough just to hang in there and look like shit, but still not give the team any hope until the very end. The Lions ended up pulling that one out, but it was late. But I don't know. The Jets Giants I almost took just because it was a rendition of the punt, pass, and kick competition when you were kids. I think there was like 24 punts or something. So if you really liked a lot of kicking, that was the game to look at. Panthers, Texans, I mean, you finally had a team get their first win. So take it at face value. I ended up going with the Broncos Chiefs just because I'm so sick and tired of watching the Broncos and hearing about the Broncos. But, I mean, they were the best of the worst, I guess, simply because they made Pat Mahomes look like shit. He looked horrible. I don't know if the Taylor Swift effect, if she was not in the stadium or what happened, but they looked horrible. But by default, Broncos, Chiefs, you get the best of the worst. Cheers to you guys, I guess.
Yeah, I was actually going to throw a couple of votes. I only get one. I didn't actually vote at all, but I was going to mail it in. I was going to give a vote to the Lions Raiders. I think the Raiders strong victory over the Lions, and Josh McDaniels. I think that he's gonna right the ship, and possibly the Super Bowl.
You think he's gonna take him to the promised land then, huh?
I do. Now that I'm looking at the scores, I see that the Raiders actually did lose. That doesn't make any sense, and I don't think he's the coach anymore.
That's all right. I mean, even if you lost, what's that they say? Every now and then, you're bound to have a clunker.
Rosie Perez, white man can't jump. Sometimes when you lose, you really win, and sometimes when you win, you really lose. Cheers.
He cheers just enough for that one. Oh boy. Well, with that being said, we can jump into some of the games here. Like I said, there's a lot of clunkers this week. It was not exactly the most ideal week for entertaining games, more or less. Thursday, you had the Bucs and the Bills. That was kind of more of a standstill from what I remember. It wasn't all that great until the very end. The Bills, it's one of those teams, they seem to still be kind of struggling a little bit so far, but I don't know. They'll figure it out, I think, but they didn't look all that great. But they get the win 24-18.
Baker Mayfield on prime time. What more do you need?
That's really all you had to know from the headlines.
Fucking Russell Wilson or Baker Mayfield. Take your pick. NFL shoves it right down your throat.
It's true.
Without consent.
Yeah. Seems like that's the formula these days, this year around at least. Vikings, Packers. Vikings they get the win 24-10. That was also a disgusting game. Like, there's nothing that can't be said that hasn't already been said. The Packers are just horrible this year. Their offensive line's a joke. They won't use the running back. If they do, it doesn't matter. They're not effective anyway because they can't block. Jordan Love struggles to complete anything over 5 yards because if he does, it's usually a penalty or the receivers can't catch or it's off target.
Speaking of quarterbacks, did anything happen in that Packers-Vikings game?
Yes, that's one of the headlines. The Vikings, they went on a 3-4 game losing streak at the beginning of the season, kind of righted the ship, started winning some games, and then I don't know how they're gonna finish from here, but Kirk Cousins, he joins the Achilles train. He has a torn Achilles from that game. He's done for the season. So I think it's fair to say any kind of hope they had to be in a strong contender probably just went right out the window with that one. But then again, let's be honest, the NFC North is trash. It's a complete dumpster fire. Detroit pretty much at this point has a cakewalk through that division to the playoffs. So neither of those teams are going anywhere anyway. But yeah, we'll touch base on some of those two teams as far as the trade deadline here a little bit later.
We always touch base. Do you think it would be appropriate one time, maybe just touch tips?
Cheers.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
We had the Jags and the Steelers. Steelers, I mean, you might as well throw them right in there with the Vikings and the Packers. They look like straight trash. Matt Canada is getting death threats throughout the entire country, as well as other countries like Canada. And, who knows? The cartel may want him to. I don't know. But, yeah, it's everywhere. Everyone
Steeler
hates him.
Nation, baby.
Yeah.
Steeler Nation.
But Jaguars pulled the win out 20-10. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to say about the Steelers. Their defense is basically the only thing keeping them afloat. And by defense, I mean TJ Watt. I mean, that offense is disgusting. It's absolutely atrocious.
Deontay Johnson's getting things going, though.
He's
85.
Well,
14 targets.
And that's if Kenny Pickett can get it there.
Trubisky threw him a few that game too.
Yeah, that's how bad the Steelers are. They had to revert back to old Trubisky, old reliable.
Cardinals.
But the Super Bowl of the week, if you loved soccer, this was probably your game. The Jets and Giants, barn burner.
I love New York.
This seems like something they should have put on, Thursday on Thanksgiving, so everyone got the opportunity to watch this shitstorm. Jets, Giants go into not only 4 quarters, but 5 quarters. They took it to overtime for this shithole. Jets do squeeze out the win 13-10. 24 freaking punts in this game. Like, are we kidding? Come on. It should be illegal to show any game like that. Just black it out for everybody. Put on, I don't know, fucking cartoons or something. Like, nobody wants to watch this shit. It's so bad. Texans, Panthers. Panthers actually got their first win, 15-13, another barn burner. Bryce Young finally gets his first win in the NFL. God, Patriots, Dolphins. Patriots still suck. Like, I mean, this is just miserable. Dolphins looked good. Patriots horrible. The one that looked probably the most interesting, in my opinion, one of the few, was Titans Falcons. Will Levis gets his first shot at NFL experience, and he explodes for 4 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins just unloads on the Falcons. Titans get the win 28-23. What's your take? You think Will Levis is the guy? You think they're going to deal Tannehill after this year, or do you think it's kind of a beginner's luck? Or
I mean, I think they're in on him. I think they're in on Will. He can put whatever the hell he wants in his coffee.
I mean,
dealing.
I'll put it this way: he doesn't have any. Tannehill doesn't have any skill set that Levis doesn't. I mean, that's my opinion. Like, anything Tannehill can do, Levis can do it as well. So I don't feel like there's any reason to really keep him around, with the exception of experience. That's the only box he checks over Levis. But I mean, he seems to be pretty decent. But it's a small sample size, so we'll see.
Tannehill will be a fantastic backup emergency in case somebody goes down.
He would play the perfect Hasselbeck role back in the day.
Yeah, I'd take him as a backup for sure.
He's a good, reliable backup mentor. He's a good guy. If you get in a jam, you can throw him in there. But he'd be a pretty good backup role. Now, granted, I don't think Tannehill would be too keen on that. I think it's safe to say Levis is probably going to retain that next year as well and moving forward.
Shout out Lauren Tannehill. Worth a Google.
We'll add that in the description there. We'll put the links. But another game here, Dallas Rams. I mean, if I remember right, Dallas scored on all three sides of the ball. Special teams, offense, and defense all got scores, so they pretty much steamrolled through the Rams, 43-20. It's kind of what we kind of saw early on, and then they kind of hit a wall. But I mean, the Cowboys kind of seemed like that legit defense that we've seen early on. Whether they continue through the stretch here, we'll see. But if I was a betting man, I would say they're going to hit a wall around January again. Just a hint.
Super Bowl wall. They're going to go right through it, baby. They got Dak
right
Prescott. They got this.
Right to the draft.
Tony Pollard's they're going to feed that horse. They're going to get it right.
Dak's looking for vacation rentals. Dak's looking for a cabana rental in Cabo already.
I might bet $1 million token bet peso points on the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, just because it pissed me off.
Well,
let's look at future.
That's a sad way to lose your points.
I'm doing it. You know how many points I can get for that? Man, I'm doing it. You did this.
Feel free. Don't come to me though when you lose the house. But another decent game. Speaking of the house, staying in the NFC East, the Eagles continue to run that division. 8-1 close game over the Commanders. But A.J. Brown records his sixth game with 125 or more receiving yards, breaking an NFL record held by, and we'll get to this in a little bit, a former Lion, Hall of Famer, Calvin Johnson. When you're mentioned, it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. But, yeah. I mean, I per se wasn't. But, I mean, just because I had to see him twice a year. But he was a hell of an athlete, dude. The guy had the biggest. He spanned the size of a bus. Like, you could just literally throw anything anywhere, and he could bag it.
Retired a little early, but they'd like to do that up in Detroit.
I feel like, I was going to say, I feel like anybody that's damn and plays in Detroit for a long period of time, they just decide to retire because they're sick and prison or getting paid dog shit, one or the other.
That's a lot out of you.
Which is a shame. Yeah, I can imagine. But other games here, we had the Colts, Saints, got the win 38-27. We had Browns, Seahawks just getting the win, just barely, 24-20. I saw the last couple minutes of that game, and that was brutal. That was brutal.
Yeah.
Had
a quarterback, it might not have been.
Heck, was it? Yeah, well, been the continuous headline for quite some time. Who's the wasn't it Seattle's tight end that scored that game win, or was it the running back?
But it wasn't.
You remember
the last one? Bobo ran.
It was
Bobo ran for one.
Oh.
Wide receiver.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was Sharp. I was thinking it was either
Charbonnet. Charbonnet. No, he had a pretty good game on the ground. I mean, for him, over 10 yards to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the last couple minutes of that's a gut punch. That was bad. That was brutal.
Busted away. I hate that. That was
Seems to be the
typical.
way that a lot of that seems to be the way a lot of the Browns game here last second.
Yeah, I'm sort of used to it.
I
I'm done.
yeah, I can imagine you are. But how's that 230 guy? What the hell is the deal?
I don't know. He was
Like
throwing the
he's
ball in
good,
practice. I
he's
guess
good, he's not good, he's good, he's not good.
gotta make sure you're
It's
right.
it's
You got he's a little tight. He's a little tight. We talked
it's
about this
just
last week. He just needs a little looser.
yeah, he's to be loose, all right. He's just not used to not getting the Cleveland Messiah touch, I guess, as they do in Houston. I just don't get it. Like you're getting
He needs a good
30 million.
Cairo. Maybe he needs a
Go
Cairo.
go.
Stop by for a fire next door.
Yeah. I feel like I have the hookup. Um, I mean, seriously, you're getting paid 230 million. Just go freaking play. Oh man, I don't know. Whatever. That was not a good decision, in my opinion, but it's not my money either. So whatever.
I'm not too
Um,
impressed when he does
you touch
play.
base on the Chiefs
Yeah,
Broncos.
he can sit down as long as I.
What's that?
He wasn't looking good when he was playing. I'd rather he gets right.
No. Like, the only thing I remember was seeing him a couple games throw. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on right now. I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback do that, throwing it
There were a
backwards.
lot of pissed off Browns fans who were grumpy when they didn't go after Jacoby Brissett prior to or at the trade deadline.
I can imagine. Where's he at now? I don't even remember. Is he with Washington?
Oh man, I don't know. I left you in charge of him.
Jamie, where's Kobe at?
Jesus
Find it
Christ,
and let us know.
he's a commander. Yeah, Jamie pushed this across my desk. Number 12.
I thought he was.
Mm.
I don't know why. For some reason, I
Well,
thought I
you've got
maybe heard it or
Thurston
something.
Howell the third
I
over
mean,
there, fucking
honestly,
slinging it. It's hard to look past him.
it's true. But I mean, honestly, they couldn't have been any worse. I mean, you got how many different quarterbacks there, and then your starter's arguably the worst. Like, I don't know. It's the same problem they always have. But we already kind of touched base on the dumpster that was the Chiefs and Broncos. We'll look at the Bengals. They got the win over the San Francisco 49ers 31-17. If I remember right, this is the third game in a row that the Bengals have fell. What the hell's going on? Like, I know they are, kind of beat up and some injuries, but my God, I don't. You typically don't see this many losses in a row. Are they still one of the best teams in the NFC?
I mean, so Debo's supposed to be back. Debo Samuel's supposed to be good to go. That's pretty big.
Wasn't Trent?
Trent
Trent
Williams.
was out this game too,
Trent
wasn't he?
Williams didn't play again.
Is he on the same plan as Deshaun?
God, I don't know. Yeah, they probably both make the same amount of money. That guy's left tackle. I don't know, man. I still like the Niners. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I mean, the thing is for them, they have such a easy path through the NFC because the NFC's you got like 4 to 5, maybe 6 top heavy teams, and then a bunch of dumpsters. It's not like the AFC where it's
That's what I'm saying. What do they got to
over
worry about?
half.
Seahawks.
Yeah. I mean, that division in a whole is not a whole lot to worry about.
Although I'll buckle up though. Kyler Murray's coming back. All 4'11" of him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe if he gets some lifts, then we'll talk. But
claw their way out of the basement.
Well, that's a good transition because with that being said, Kyler Murray and his Cardinals sure didn't get too much done against Baltimore. But I mean, it doesn't really matter anyway because the quarterback that was playing in Arizona is not there anymore. But Baltimore takes down the Cardinals 31-24. I don't exactly understand what Arizona's game plan is. Like they literally just got rid of everybody, but they're still trying to be competitive. Like why? Why?
It does sort of. Well, they really didn't get the damn thing for Dobbs.
No.
And I sort of get trading him, but I feel like they were dealing from a power of position or a position. Oh my god, have another
Position of
margarita,
power.
another margarita. Holy fuck, dude! All of a sudden I'm dyslexic. I feel like a fucking Wisconsin. So the yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like I get Dylan Dobbs because he's gonna go. So I mean, it's a good move for your quarterback who might be able to buy his own jersey in the team shop now in Minnesota. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like they could have gotten more for that.
Who else do they have as far as quarterbacks? Like if Murray gets hurt again or if he's out, like they don't have anybody because they cut McCoy. He's not there anymore. They just dealt Dobbs. So I mean, I don't even know who else they even have on their roster anymore.
Jeff Driscoll and Clayton Tune.
Oh, so a lot of household names.
I remember
That should
Driscoll. Driscoll
wasn't he with
popped up there a little bit.
was he with the Colts? Or for some reason, I thought I remember him with the Colts.
I thought he was with the Broncos for a bit, but
That might be. I mean, everybody's with the Broncos. I feel like.
I feel like a horse. When I think of Jeff Driscoll, I think of Jeff the Horsecock Driscoll. He needs a cool nickname like
I mean, I'll put it this way:
Brock
you
the
thought
Cock,
Broncos
Big
horse.
Cock Brock.
I thought Colts horse. So we're in the same ballpark. We got the same animal. We're in the same petting zoo.
I mean, all right, that's fine. Saddle their wagon to Kyler Murray. They're probably going to win it all. I mean, they're 1-7.
I don't see how you could go wrong. You seem like you're doing things well there. But speaking of
Also, in
doing things,
Arizona, we'll never see him on TV. It'll be fine.
no. But speaking of doing things well, the Chargers and Bears, that was a fun one. It was a battle of who didn't want to win more. And unfortunately, the Chargers lost that battle, and they turned out with a win, 30-13 over the Bears. I don't understand what the hell the Bears are doing. Like, and this is not even coming from a Packers fan. This is coming from what in God's name are you doing? Every move you make, I don't understand it. It's not to make your team better. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, obviously, Bajent is the future there. But he didn't look any worse than Fields, and that's only because Fields has no way to throw to. So basically, all of his production is on the ground running himself. But yeah, Chargers win 30-13. That was a fantastic game Sunday night. And if that wasn't enough to hold you over, we had Monday night Raiders Lions. We kind of mentioned that one already. 26-14. Lions take down the Raiders. You'll never hear it. He'll never come out and say it, but Davante Adams has to be the most pissed off person in the Raiders organization because he went there solely for not the money, because he was pissed off at Green Bay and how he got like treated or whatever. So he went there to go play with his buddy, his college buddy. And then within the first year, they were like, no, we don't want him, and kicked his ass out of the locker room so they didn't have to pay an injury settlement if he got hurt in the building. Kicked his ass off the team. Now he's playing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo gets hurt. Now he's playing with Hoyer. Hoyer gets benched. Garoppolo's good. Good to go. I mean, not good. He's good to play. He comes back. Jimmy G can't hit the broadside of the barn, and you see Davante Adams the most pissed off I've ever seen him in his career. And this is probably more so than last year when he punched a reporter or whatever it was?
Blasted through a cameraman.
Yeah, he has to be freaking miserable out there. You'll never admit it, but do you think that he would have rather been in Green Bay playing with Love, who would be basically still playing with some of his teammates under the same system, or taking the money and being out there with Josh McDaniels and getting one pass a game?
I think the money, because I mean, losing sucks. It does suck, but the money, especially now, they got rid of McDaniels. They got rid of whoever the GM bullshit, Ziegler.
I mean, Raiders do have a better record than Green Bay by
but
one
now
game.
He's got Antonio Pierce. He stood up for Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce is out there, Compton, NWA, talking about rolling his 6-4, fucking gang banging and shit. He played with the fucking Giants. It'll be fine. Davante, I think Davante will be in a better spot now. It's Garoppolo's birthday. Shout out to Jimmy G. Happy birthday. Have another Rita. It's fine.
Well,
Devontae Adams, buy low.
Yeah. With that being said, we can dive into some of the breaking news. We kind of covered some of the stuff, but it was what was it, like midnight, 1 o'clock or something, right after the Raiders lost to the Lions. They Mark Davis decided to axe the GM and the head coach, Josh McDaniels. And as you stated already, Antonio Pierce is taking over as the coach. Did they announce who's the GM yet?
Not that I know. Probably Davis.
Yeah, we'll see how well that works out because it's worked out so well so far.
Get you some fast boys.
If I remember right, he still has like a couple years on his contract, like owed $40 million or something crazy. McDaniels.
Oh, I would imagine.
They actually showed.
Away.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the trademark in the NFL. They were talking about it on the McAfee show about the quickest coaches to get fired, and since NFL history, and like the oldest one that goes back that they listed at least was 1938, all the way up till now. It's kind of interesting actually because George Allen for the Redskins at the time back in '78 got fired after 2 preseason games. I don't know how you get fired after 2 preseason games.
What the hell you got to do for that?
Yeah, I literally don't know because the starters aren't even playing, so you're expected to lose. So I don't even understand that. But the thing that I
preseason back then,
I didn't either. That was news to me. Well, he probably didn't either. That's why he got fired. He forgot to show up.
Whoops.
But the thing that I thought was kind of interesting is on this little graphic here that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 coaches listed. Out of the 13 coaches listed, 3 of them are Raiders. It just seems to be a revolving door, which, to be honest, I'm kind of shocked. Browns are only on there once, but I would have expected the Browns and the Bears to be on there. And the Bears aren't even listed, at least on this graphic. But they have Lane Kiffin in 2000. In his second year, he was released after 4 games. His third year, 2014, Dennis Allen was relieved after 4 games. And then Josh McDaniels, 2 years in, he was relieved after 8 games of his second year. I mean,
baby.
That's the problem. They're not.
It's hard. It's hard.
I mean,
problem is you can't all win, you know.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
We could
but
move
even
the team again. That'd be fun.
Well, and the thing that
go
even
back to Oakland or LA or Oakland again, or back to LA again.
Well, and the thing that even make me laugh is you got Hugh Jackson, 2016. He was there for 8 games into year 3 before he got canned. So McDaniels actually has a couple wins on his record this year. Hugh Jackson got an extension, if I remember right, the year he went 0-16. He even made it longer than McDaniels, and McDaniels won.
The world doesn't make sense, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Clearly not, because the other thing that doesn't make sense is the fact that, who the heck was it? Lovie Smith? Lovie Smith went 10-6 and beat the Packers, and he got fired. And then it was, who the heck was the guy that had a really good year in Detroit? Oh, shit, what's his name? Crap, I can't think of it now.
How long ago are we talking?
Like early 2000s, I think.
Oh, God. Jim Schwartz was there.
No, it wasn't him.
This was after Wayne Fonts.
Jim Schwartz had a history of winning 5 games and then losing the rest in a row. Caldwell. I think that's who I'm thinking of. Caldwell. Didn't he do pretty good with the Lions?
Yeah, I think so.
Lions and the Colts, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And then he got canned. I don't know. But we already kind of mentioned this a little bit. But since Kirk Cousins tore his ACL, he's done for the year. They did trade for Josh Dobbs from Arizona, so now he's going to be the starter potentially. They're kind of beating around the bush, but obviously you don't trade for a guy unless you're not happy with who you have currently on your roster. So he's probably going there to start. Looking at some of the other trades so far for the 2023 trades, either at the deadline or before the deadline. We had Chase Young. It's clear as day that Washington's kind of on a fire sale as well. Washington deals Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Chase Young goes to San Francisco as if they didn't have enough defensive weapons. And then Montez Sweat goes to Chicago. I don't understand Chicago. I don't get it. Why do you trade for him? You already had Khalil Mack, and you traded him away. I don't get it. You had that guy already, and you let him walk out the building. I don't get it, but whatever. Bears do Bears things. Yeah. Leonard Williams went to Seattle. Kevin Baird went to Philly. Ezra Cleveland gets traded to Jacksonville, which is interesting because you just traded a lineman and you're bringing a quarterback in who doesn't know your system, so that should work out well. Like we said, Josh Dobbs to Minnesota. Donovan Peoples-Jones goes back home to Detroit. As if the Chicago move didn't make any sense to me. This one really didn't make any sense to me. Rasul Douglas leaves Green Bay and gets traded to Buffalo for a third-round pick, which makes no sense because Rasul Douglas, aside from Rashawn Gary, is probably, arguably, maybe, or Kenny Clark. Rasul Douglas was pretty much the only defensive back you had who was healthy and who was actually playing really well. And then you traded him. So you have Jair, who's dealing with a back injury. You have Darnell Savage, who's on the IR. You have Rudy Ford, who's dealing with injury. You have Eric Stokes, who's on the IR. Yep, let's trade Russell Douglas. That seems like a good move because now you're going to have the joke on the Green Bay media is when Preston Smith covered, was it Addison? Hell, I don't even remember. Whoever the hell it was the 1 week. No, it wouldn't have been Addison. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Whoever the heck the number one receiver was for that week, they had Preston Smith drop back into coverage. So the running joke is, it's okay. We didn't need Rasul. We'll just put Preston Smith back there. Because for whatever reason, they had him shadowing the number one receiver. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Makes no sense. But if that doesn't scream rebuilding and we're all in on next year, I don't know what does, because you literally have no talent anymore. You've let everybody walk out the building. But we'll move on. Kentavious Street goes to Atlanta. Michael Hardman, we already mentioned a couple episodes ago, goes back to Kansas City. Randy Gregory also joins Chase Young in San Francisco. J.C. Jackson to New England. Chase Claypool, he still has yet to find a home outside of Notre Dame. He finally lands in Miami. We'll see how long that lasts. Van Jefferson, he goes to Atlanta. And Cam Akers, he's in Minnesota. So that's all the major trades so far from the beginning of the season to the trade deadline. I mean, there's a couple in there that pegged my interest as far as like Chase Young and Montez Sweat. It's clear that Washington's on a fire sale, so they basically aren't going to have any defense. So basically, if you're doing fantasy football or you're betting, make sure you're betting on the offense, whoever's playing Washington, because Washington has no defense anymore. But
like that, a million peso points.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
But yeah, I don't quite understand some of these. They don't really make sense to me, but whatever.
Some could be contracts.
Probably, and that tends to be what's probably more so the case is they have expiring contracts. They don't want to pay it, so they get out from underneath them and let the next team pay for it. But I think it was McAfee. AJ Hawk said that 49ers are only paying like 500,000 for Chase Young, which is mind-blowing to me. Like, that's unreal. You got Nick Bosa, who's on a massive contract, and then you got Chase Young basically free. Like, yeah. I don't get it.
Love it. Return to glory.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it can't be any worse.
It's coming.
But
Super Bowl.
We got well, how's that going to work with your pick for the Cowboys then?
I picked them too. They're all in.
Is this participation trophies?
Everybody wins. As long as you're in the NFC.
I was gonna say you can't go wrong then if everybody wins.
That's right.
Play the
Biden,
field.
Bidenomics. Everybody wins.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I don't know how to transition from that one, but we got we had a Monday night football poll that we've been doing the last couple of weeks here, and looking at some of the favorite players. We got Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Chris Spielman. Barry Sanders, 100% of the vote. I kind of expected Calvin Johnson to get some, and I was kind of torn because I almost picked Calvin Johnson, but it's hard to pick anybody other than Barry. I mean, if you were old enough to watch him play, he was unreal. Like, he could not be stopped.
Best running back I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that he played in such a dumpster city. Like, he would have been fantastic if he played on, like, Dallas or the Niners or practically anybody other than Detroit.
I don't think
But
he would have been as. I don't think we would have appreciated him as much. He wouldn't have been doing all them goddamn spins.
no, because he was the only talent on that team. Whereas if he was on any other team, he probably would have been more. It would have been evened out across the board.
God, he got 100% of the votes. My favorite thing about when they used to talk about Barry Sanders, they used to say on defense, if you miss him, stay put. He'll be back.
Yeah.
Don't go chasing him.
Well, there's a story that when I went to the tailgate party last year with Leroy Butler at the Hall of Fame, and it was the Detroit game, and they were saying who's the hardest player that you've ever came up against, or like, you know, the toughest tackler or whatever. And he said, no hesitation, with nothing, Barry Sanders. And when they said, well, why? And he said, because I'm keying him up. I'm eyeing him from the safety. And I'm like, oh man, here he comes. I got him in my sights. He said, he's right there. I dive. As I dive, I blink. And when I open my eyes from blinking, I'm laying on the ground. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Where'd he go? And I turn around and he's 20 yards behind me. He goes, literally in a blink of an eye, he's gone. He said he's the hardest guy I've ever had to tackle because I don't see him. He's there 1 second, next second he's gone. But yeah. But we have the Raiders' favorite all-time player, Bo Jackson, Howie Long, Tim Brown. Bo Jackson, 50%, Howie Long, 25%, Tim Brown, 25%. Pretty sure I know who voted for Howie Long. If he didn't make the list, I would have been shocked. But yeah, Bo Jackson, 50%. I'm actually surprised that he didn't get more of the vote. I mean, they're all phenomenal athletes, but come on, it's Bo Jackson. Like, he was Oakland's, LA's, whatever the heck it was back then. I don't remember. He was their version of Barry, and then some.
Bo was he was the greatest athlete. I mean, people can talk about Dion, whatever, two-way star. Bo Jackson's the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Two-way all-star.
And it wasn't that he was like just a two-sport athlete or, you know, whatever. He was like Hall of Fame level at both sports. God, like, it was unbelievable.
Kidding, if he hadn't gotten hurt. Man.
Just think about it though. If he was born in a different era, like with the crazy stuff that's going on now. I mean, you got freaking Aaron Rodgers potentially coming back the same season with an Achilles tear. Whereas if you go back 5 years ago, that's a death sentence. You're done. And then if you go back 10, 15 years ago, ACL injury, you're done. It would have been interesting to see if he was playing now with the way that science has advanced. God, who knows? Who knows?
I don't know, man. Yeah, he was so goddamn strong. He ripped his own femur out of his acetabulum. Man, ripped that leg right out of there. Pop. He's a hell of an athlete, man. My God, my dear God. I had to go Howie.
This one was a little tougher. Our crossovers, players that played for both Detroit and the Raiders at any point. Jerry Ball, Rodney Peete, Pat Swilling. Pete Swilling both got 50% of the votes. No, Jerry Ball did not play for Green Bay, as we
I
discussed
don't know how the hell
offline.
you didn't know who the fuck Jerry Ball was. Motherfucker played almost his entire career either for the goddamn Lions or the Vikings, who last time I checked played the goddamn Packers twice a year.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
And he was in fucking Tecmo Bowl, Tecmo Super Bowl. That motherfucker was unstoppable. He was a nose tackle. God damn.
I don't know.
He
I
reminded
just
me of
don't.
that Gilbert Brown fucker for that big fat fuck for the Packers.
The Gravedigger.
God, he reminded me exactly of him. They're like the same person. They probably have the exact same physical attributes.
See, I just don't. I don't know. For some reason, I just don't
6 foot
remember him.
fat.
I just don't remember him. Maybe that's because back then, the only person that was worth a damn watching, as far as the Lions, was Barry. And then as far as the Vikings, if it wasn't Randy Moss or Chris Carter, it didn't matter. Or Cunningham, or not Culpepper.
I'm gonna go yeah, defense though.
Yeah, but they never had a great defense. Their
Yeah,
defenses were never good.
yeah, but he would have been the one planting your shitty quarterback. He's a big man. He's more of a run stopper, but he was a big dude, man. Jerry Ball was a bad motherfucker.
Well, and that's the thing. That would have never came into play then because Green Bay was never a big running team. When you had Favre and Robert Brooks and Antonio Freeman and Donald Driver.
But this would have been shit. This was like Don Mikowski. This was
Yeah.
like back.
Well, fuck.
This
They
was
didn't run then either. They didn't have a running back then either. They were horrible.
Yeah, this was
Late 80s, early 90s, before Favre, they didn't have really. I mean, that would have been maybe at the beginning part of Sterling's career.
I did like Jerry Ball though. I didn't vote for him. Truth be told, I voted Pat Swilling, but I liked Pat Swilling when he was with the Saints, part of the Dome Patrol.
Was he there with the Aints and Archie?
He was a little after.
Or was he after that?
Yes, he was with the Saints in like the 80s,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I think I don't know when the hell he's with like the Lions and the Raiders. That would have been late, like probably. Late. I think I remember him with the Raiders. I don't really remember him with the Lions. But
See,
I was a
this
Pat
one was
Swilling
tough. This one was tough because I don't really remember that many people that played for both of them.
No, they weren't really. Rodney Pete was one of the more well known.
It was like very few and far between options to pick from.
Ugh, I think when I picked it, you had to play more than like one season with either team too. Just
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense because you don't, I mean, we're not really looking for one of those journeymen flash in the pans that are there for a few games. But
it's tough. This was a tough week. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't sexy, but it had teeth.
oh, man. Well, we'll wrap this up here and we can we'll do our mid-season wrap up and our mid-season breakdown, see where our picks are at, and make our mid-season predictions again next week. We'll be at week 9. It'll be about midway point here. But looking at ahead to next week, we got international game again over in Germany, Dolphins and Chiefs. I don't really remember. I thought the Chiefs had played overseas before, but I don't know that the Dolphins have, or maybe they have, and I just don't remember.
Yeah, that's a good matchup.
What do you think about
for old Frankfurt, old Germany?
What do you think about that? Because I was thinking, and they were talking about it on a couple different shows earlier today, and then I think they mentioned it again on the Thursday night pregame. It has potential for the over because they're two high-scoring offenses, but then again, when you look at it, Chiefs haven't really been putting up that many points lately. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know how to read it.
I mean,
looking at it
depends on
at face.
Global sensations in attendance, and you know who I'm talking about. She is on tour.
Jace. Oh, I was going to say Jason Kelsey.
Yes, I saw him in a commercial. No way he loses an arm wrestling competition to his brother.
The State Farm guy?
Yeah, the Mauatu.
Justin with State Farm.
MAAUT Home and Auto. Home and Auto.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at face value, and you didn't see any pre-existing games, I feel like the over would it'd be a no-brainer. But then with the way they're playing now, it's like, man, I don't know. But they do have Miko Hardman back, so I mean, maybe the under hits or the over hits. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Why not take the over? Fuck it, Dr. Goose. After hours, fifth quarter after hours.
What is the over under? Ew, 50.5. Man, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
It's true.
Take the over. It's in Germany. It's probably played on a goddamn football field, like a European football field, soccer.
Yeah, I like my football like I like my cars American. That's neither here nor there. But I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. But we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode here of the fifth quarter sportscast. Download, rate, subscribe, review, do all that fun stuff. You want to interact with us on various socials. 5th Q Sportscast, 5THQ Sportscast. Go out and catch some games, make some wagers, make some bets. Try to take the books for all their money. Just a reminder, like we said, they got the Chiefs Dolphins at 9:30 Eastern over in Frankfurt. So if you want to get your fantasy lineups, your bets, and all that stuff in, make sure you get them in early. Otherwise, go watch some football. And we'll catch you back here next week. We'll break down some of the games. We'll look at the mid-season standings. We'll try to make some late season predictions, and we'll see where we fared with our mid-season predictions earlier on. But we'll catch you back here next week.
Be a friend, tell a friend. Their sports fandom makes no sense. They need to change their goddamn team. You might just change their life. Peace.